I am Apita Sibiri with today's edition of JoyNews Interactive. The show is live from digital address GA0992539 in Kokomemla, Accra. You can also watch the show on DSTV channel 421 and GoTV channel 144. Join the conversation on all our social media platforms, Facebook and Twitter. We are JoyNews on TV. GN Bank has had to pay out over 200 million cedis in the last few weeks to depositors in a wave of panic withdrawals to have hit a number of the country's indigenous banks. Now, according to chairperson of Group Ndum, Dr. Parkwes Ndum, these panic withdrawals are giving him sleepless nights and compelling him to embark on a campaign to reassure depositors.
For the past 3 weeks, 4 weeks, I can't sleep. Okay, and because I just can't imagine that somebody urgently needs money. I cast my mind back to my own hometown, Elmina. I know how the poor fishermen are. But if somebody needs, 50 Ghana cedis, and they will go to my bank and be told that we don't have 50 Ghana cedis to give you. Okay, because some people have rushed to come and take the monies away who don't need it. It bothers me. It's not even my name or any of those things.
Now, this move by Dr. Ndum seems to have endeared him to many of our followers on Facebook. Let's see what you have been saying, and that's JoyNews on TV. Let's start with Yakubu Nana, who says, Ghana is moving backwards, guys. We should be honest to ourselves. And let's see more comments there. And that one got 19 reactions. But James Fortune comes to say that people rush to get their monies because they don't trust the banking systems anymore. Their wardrobe is far more better than saving in the banks. Ghanaians have lost interest in their deals with the banks. Bank of Ghana can be blamed for this. At Kofi Owusu says, I like the level of transparency in this. He's throwing all his cards on the table, going out to meet the people and not using social media to create more problems. Idiots with little brains will politicize it and call names just to get likes on social media. Zenu says, I love the frankness in his speech. Nice one, Dr. Ndum. Right, Nana Poku says, Ghanaians, why are we doing this to ourselves? The panic withdrawals will collapse any bank. Ajemang Boachi says, Papa, take heart, you'll soon get back to your feet. Keep pushing hard. Daniel Kofi Mense, this kind of business accums is hardly possessed by those who become rich overnight. Notice he didn't jump onto social media to trade insults or portion blame for what is happening. This is wisdom. I wish him the very best. And Mohammed comes in to reply to that comment to say that to save my money on any bank in Ghana, big no, I'll keep it on my father's cocoa farm. And Mensa Alexander says that's a good idea. Let's go to Corey, who says, one thing I have learned, don't criticize or make mockery of what you haven't experienced. Set up a business and watch it fail, and you'll appreciate what the businessmen are saying. I just pray Ghanaians realize that homegrown businesses are important. Let's go to Omele, who says, you know who caused all these panic withdrawals? Blame the government and stop beating about the bush. Richard Sparks, you guys should allow my old man to sleep, eh? He has grown, he has even grown lean, cra. Daniel Opoku, let them do their work because banking sector laws are weak in Ghana, and that's why onward investment and others Ghanaians always has become a victim. This is for your future good measures should be laid down now. Daku Alex says, old man, speak the truth. Your party is clueless. All right. And Crispin says, it should collapse. Okay, so you can feel the way it felt for the way he engineered DKM collapsing. Throw a ball at the wall and see. Okay, interesting comments there. But let's go to Kobe, who says, how much did you spend on 2016 campaign? So that's the question he's asking. So the question I've been asking you, what do you make of the current panic withdrawals that have hit the banks?
Everybody would have loved to keep his money in the bank for security reasons. But when the person thinks that his money is not secured, he wouldn't actually allow the money to be there. Definitely that reaction, that panic situation will cause the person to go and then withdraw his money. We can't just generalize it and say because of some of the banks are collapsing, other banks are also going to be face the same crisis or whatever. So some of the banks, I believe they are doing very well, and if you have your money there, you will have that kind of assurance that your money are safe. So what Park Osindum is saying, I believe he is in the right direction.
What happened to DKM years back and those kind of stuff. So it's fair. I think it's good for them to withdraw their money for security reasons, because right now the hardship in Ghana is not easy. It's not easy to be keeping your money at the banks where you are not safe. And
I believe that what's supposed to be done is to the Bank of Ghana is asking the banks to come up with a minimum requirement as to how a minimum requirement, and for him to also to go around, he needs to let the traders know that okay, he's able to get what the Bank of Ghana is requesting of the banks to make available. Then also he going around also, I think it's okay.
Let's go to Facebook and see what you guys have been saying about this. Okay, so RK from Pongmanta says, it is such a worthwhile exercise Dr. Ndum is embarking on, particularly as he confesses it gives him insomnia. The collapse of 7 banks so far is making customers so nervous and are rushing for their monies, so it is necessary to educate customers to desist from that. John Kwabena says the problem still continues. The only solution is to advise the media on how they frame the message to their listeners and viewers. Instead of reducing the salt, no, they will rather fetch seawater and pour it into the salted soup. Emmanuel Osei says it absolutely makes sense for customers to withdraw their money in the midst of bank closures and fraud. The onus is on these banks to win back the public and their customers' confidence. It's also up to the federal government to reassure citizens of their deposits with these banks. Ernest Godese says panic withdrawal is a clear message that people don't believe in the ongoing concept of banks experiencing. Once people don't believe the business is going to remain in business in the foreseeable future, they'll withdraw because it is natural that they wouldn't want to lose their money. This equally means job losses. It doesn't look good. Valanya Akotia comes in to say that Ghanaians should be patient because things are under control. So he seems to have a lot of faith in the banking sector. Mustafa comes in to say that it's a sad time. The advocacy should be intensified. The withdrawals have come in the wake of the collapse of 5 indigenous banks last August. Now, speaking on PM Express with Aisha Abraham, Samuel Ampar, head of research at Group Undum, said there have been previous incidents where depositors lost their money, and an action like that has resulted in a low self-confidence towards the banking sector.
People were not too sure what has happened within the banking sector, and some announcements also being made by the people from the central bank also, put some sort of, let's say, anxiety in the minds of people, really what is happening within the banking sector of this country. So it caused a lot. And you should understand that we have precedents, incidents that have happened before, that people, and let's say, when I say people, depositors have lost a lot of money within the financial sector. I mean, you recall that of the Pirams in the past, yes, and then the God is Love or whatever, and then the DKMs and all that. So, and most of the people did not recover their monies from these financial institutions. So an action like that could easily spark that low level of confidence within the banking sector. Right. All right. So people were agitated, people were scared, and some statements thereafter also could not settle well in people's mind. So it created some level of panic, could you say a lot of panic and some insecurity, okay, amongst Ghanaians, customers. And therefore, the best option for them was to say, well, let me go take my money because others saved, they couldn't get their money. I do not want a thing like that happen to me. So that's really how it all started. Because hitherto, when these two banks were in operation, we didn't have anything like that. Right. And then the 5 banks came, the issue came, and then everybody started wondering.
Samuel Ampa, Head of Research at Group Indom, speaking to Aisha Abraham. Well, the cost of liquidating the 7 troubled banks has reached almost 13 billion cedis. This was disclosed by President Adodankwa Akufo-Addo at the opening of new headquarters of Standard Chartered Bank in Accra. The president also said his government saved the deposits of over 1,147 Ghanaians. All right, let's go to Facebook on that. All right, okay, so let's hear what the president has been saying.
The banks caught up in these malpractices became insolvent and relied on liquidity support from the Bank of Ghana. What this meant was that without injection of liquidity from the Bank of Ghana, they were bound to fail and collapse, with depositors losing their entire savings and all their workers losing their jobs. A responsible government and responsible regulator, the Bank of Ghana, had to intervene to ensure that we did not have a banking crisis. And that is exactly what happened. 12.7 billion Ghana cedis of public funds, made up of an 8 billion cedi bond issued by the Ministry of Finance, and 4.7 billion cedis of liquidity support from the Bank of Ghana, was injected into the 7 banks that failed. GCB Bank took over the affairs of Capital Bank and UT Bank, and a new state-owned bank, the Ghana Consolidated Bank, was created out of the 5 other failed banks, i.e. Sovereign Bank, Unibank, Construction Bank, Royal Bank, and Base Bank. These measures saved not only the deposits of 1,147,336 Ghanaians and their businesses and the people they employ, but also minimized job losses in the banking sector. The rationalization and cleanup of the financial sector were necessary to safeguard the health and strength of the economy. I've said it before, and let me reiterate, that those responsible for the sequence of activities that led to the crisis in quote will face the full brunt of the law if they are found to have broken the law and suffer all the consequences prescribed by law.
Let's go to Facebook on that. JoyNews on TV. Let's start with Ahmed Kilogram, who says this man is doing a great job, but if they don't prosecute all those involved in this waste of taxpayers' money, then I'll have a problem with them. And Rich Afrifa says, but a lot has to be done to liquidate the fixed assets of the perpetrators to recover some of the debts. Can you imagine the extent of development this would have done for our country? This amount summed up to the Eurobonds we have been chasing after. Prince Nana Kwame says, you see, the amount involved in these scandals, but we lack ambulances, beds, and people die because of beds. Still on the banking sector, the Asantehene has called for the enactment of a new law that will prevent present and former governors of the Bank of Ghana from establishing their banks in the country. Otumfo Osei Tutu II explained that the current system, whereby former and present governors of the BOG are allowed to establish their own financial institutions, clearly amounts to a conflict of interest situation. Now, you've been reacting to this on our Facebook page. Nash Hood says, a very wise idea. This will help check them and their activities. Kweku says, I think it's a good call. The government must consider it in the restructuring of the banking sector. Manuel says it's a good suggestion though, but be careful not to deny anyone his or her rights. Competent individuals in banking will also not find it attractive to run this particular position as well. In my opinion, to be BOG governor, one must have a track record to show. Thus, you must either have worked with a renowned financial institution or a senior banker. Prince Asari Bideyako, you're very right, Your Majesty. It would definitely amount to conflict of interest when a person appointed to the position of governor also has a financial institution, i.e. a bank. Such a person will never sit aloof for the Bank of Ghana to take punitive measures against his or her bank. I think we, Parliament and other stakeholders should consider deliberating on this issue way forward. Brahma Opong, King Solomon has spoken, and Nana comes to say absolutely, exactly, precisely. Well spoken, Your Majesty. Your throne will endure the test of time and you will live long. Hala Komianani says, it is a very good observation. We have to be proactive to make sure we are fighting corruption and abuse of the systems. The governors and even the finance ministers know a lot and can easily manipulate the system to their own advantage. Benjamin Living Bird comes and says that I agree 100%. They profit from inflation and currency trade. Edem Rain says the law should not only bind former governors alone, but deputies and all in senior management of the bank. Also, the same law should stop the following people from ever accepting of political appointments or holding any such positions directly. Kobe says we need our traditional leaders in our development. Osei Kwame Despa says, may God bless you, King Solomon. I now know why this is happening to the banks. On that note, we're going to take a quick breather. You're still watching JoyNews Interactive with me, Mapisa CBD. Remember, the conversation continues on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We're JoyNews on TV. Now, some exciting news. Basic schools in the country could study lesser number of subjects from the next academic year, the Ghana Education Service has hinted. It said the National Council for Curriculum and Assessment has been tasked to carry out the review with a view to reducing them. Now, the review of the subjects will be done at the kindergarten, primary and the junior high school level. A lot of you have been reacting to this on our Facebook page. Let's start with Abdul Karim, who says it's long overdue. And Theolin says, what about the caning of children? Is it going to stop? And Joe Moses says, please tell them to make science optional. Why? Okay, yeah, because as for science, yeah, even me, I would agree with that. But Luke Mann says it will be good. Pa Emma says, I beg, come out pre-walk. And Rashid says it's a good move. Patrick says mathematics out finally. And okay, maybe not, but Abdul Razak says best educational reform ever. Amator says, I wait to see which one will be off the system. And Samuel Saki says, it's very important. Christopher John says, have they now realized this? Ghana. And Cyril Chris, he says, you guys have known since that students have been overburdened with some subjects which are very useless, yet because of politics had kept quiet. If your sense had come home, finally, praise to be God, we are watching keenly. Okay. And Dalwin says, step in the right direction. Kofi A. Simpson says, no teacher should be worse off. And Love Web Baby says it's a good start. It's been a wonderful edition of JoyNews Interactive with me, Mapisa CBD. The conversation continues on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We're JoyNews on TV.